Hi guys, I haven't watched I'm a Celebrity with Nigel Farage, and it seems a great deal of other people haven't watched it either, mainly because of the presence of racist charlatans being given a platform on something that's supposed to be light entertainment. Farage in the Jungle, however, was challenged over Brexit and the Breaking Point poster. The former UKIP leader said back in 2016 that immigration was a core driver of anti-EU sentiment, and he claimed it was necessary to leave to control Britain's borders. But we aren't supposed to say that for some reason. Here political commentator Matthew Stadlin, who voted Remain, explained that while many people he knows backed Leave, the pollster was what brought out the racists.
I think, first of all, we need to be absolutely clear, because it's incredibly antagonising, Martin, to Brexiteers when you suggest that they're all racist. I suspect millions and millions of people who voted Brexit are not racist at all, and there were some perfectly respectable reasons, I think, for voting to leave the European Union. I'm someone who voted Remain, but I had plenty of respect, including for some family members and close friends who chose to vote for Brexit. That poster, however, I think did undoubtedly signal to racists. It was divisive, it was xenophobic. Everyone, or almost everyone in that poster was a person of colour. And whatever Nigel's intentions were at the time, and I can't get inside his mind, I think it did appeal to racism.
I think he's correct here. Now, I think it's important not to tar all Brexit supporters back in 2016 with the same brush. Many people voted for different reasons, but I think the glue that connected a lot of them was immigration. And Farage and people like Farage understood that. Now, some of the other reasons people voted to leave the European Union was austerity, for example. So they wanted to give the Tory government a bloody nose. The Tories, led by the Prime Minister, and the Remain campaign led by the Prime Minister, David Cameron, were telling people we need to maintain the status quo. And people were upset with that. And they decided, actually, I'm going to vote against the government. I'm going to give them a bloody nose. I'm going to vote against what I see as the elites telling me how to live my life. Now, many people, of course, have realized that was a mistake, but at the time, it could be presented as a legitimate reason to vote to leave. Of course, jobs was another issue. People were concerned about foreigners coming in, driving down wages. This was an argument, of course, on the right, but it was also used on the left. Andy Burnham, for example, stood up in the House of Commons and talked about how immigration was driving down wages for British workers. The NHS was being described as overburdened by foreigners, but of course this made no sense if you looked at what the makeup of the NHS, the amount of people working on it from outside Britain, and of course these people are paying taxes and contributing to the state, but at the time they were just seen as a burden on the NHS. Farmers and fishermen were convinced that if Britain leaves the European Union, it will free them up to catch more fish or to plant whatever they want in their land, to control their land, to put whatever the hell they wanted into the land. So this was, of course, very seductive to both fishermen and farmers. But of course, we must remember that many organizations that represented, for example, the farmers, the National Farmers Union, were against Brexit. They were saying, look, if we leave the European Union, we're going to face dire consequences. But unfortunately, many people were convinced by people like Nigel Farage. And then when it comes to, for example, small businesses, they were told that if we leave the European Union, we'll be able to sell all over the world. Larger businesses and organizations representing industry, of course, warned against that. But as I said at the beginning, immigration was the sort of glue that connected many of these issues. And while immigration wasn't really a hot topic back in 2010, by 2016, it was front and center. And it was being used as a tool to convince people to vote to leave the European Union. So when Cameron was considering calling his referendum, at the time immigration was not a hot topic. It was not all that serious on the minds of the public. But by the time the referendum came around, it was out of control. And posters like Nigel Farage's Breaking Point one, I think it convinced a lot of people maybe our future is outside Europe. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.